WNBA bangers for Tuesday, July 25th. That is exactly what I will be giving to you in this video. My name is Matt Modi with Jedi Modi Sports Betting, and I'm here to give you 5 WNBA bets to hammer for Tuesday's WNBA betting slate. We got a massive slate of games going on for Tuesday, so naturally we had to find some plays to hammer. Now, I will admit real quick before we get into the plays, I have been on a cold streak with the WNBA. The first video I came out on my YouTube channel, we had a good day. We were profitable. We have unfortunately been down the past 3. So we're hoping to turn that around for Tuesday's games, which I have confidence will happen. And we can get right into it. So play number 1, we are going with the Phoenix Mercury +7. That is at -110 odds at Caesars. So this game has had some pretty insane line movement. The Dream opened up, which is obviously who the Mercury are playing, at -4, and then that spread immediately shot up to where it is now at Mercury +7 to a number where the Mercury are actually the play. Now, I will admit this bet feels gross backing the Mercury, who have been among the worst teams in the WNBA all year, but sometimes the grossest bets are the ones that hit at the highest rate, because teams like the Mercury that are not playing well, everybody wants to fade them, and then there ends up being some value on them because they have been faded so heavily. So if you look at the season as a whole, they're not good. I'm not going to tell you that they are good. They have the second worst net rating in the entire WNBA. But since July 1st, in the month of July, they've actually been respectable. They're middle of the pack, 7th out of 12 teams. I'm not here to tell you that they've been good, but they've at least been better than they were at the beginning of the year. Now, I will admit that the Dream have been absolutely on fire. So obviously there is, again, it's a little bit scary, but the Mercury have been respectable. It's a home game for the Dream, which makes this a little bit scary, but the way the Mercury have been playing recently, there is reason to believe that they will be able to keep this relatively close. Right after the All-Star break for the WNBA, the Mercury went on a 2-game winning streak, which for them might as well be like winning 10 games straight because of how much they've been struggling. And again, I'll admit the scary part of this is the Mercury being on the road where they are 0-4 in the month of July. But if you look at the teams that they've played, that starts to make a little bit more sense. They played the Aces and the Liberty, who are the 2 best teams in the WNBA according to net rating. And the Liberty, they actually made that game pretty close. They only lost by 4 in that one. Yes, they did get thrashed by the Mystics in their last start, but I do like the Mercury to keep this one relatively close, covering the 7-point spread for us. Next up, we are staying in the same game, and we're taking the Mercury versus the Dream to go under 166.5. That is at -110 odds, both at DraftKings and BetMGM. So this one is going to have an interesting style in terms of like how the game is actually played, because the Dream play at the fastest pace in the entire WNBA by a pretty decent margin too, a pretty fast pace. But the Mercury play at literally the slowest pace in the WNBA. So you have the fastest versus the slowest. So it'll be an interesting stylistic difference to kind of seeing what happens between these two teams in this game. They haven't played each other yet this year, so we don't really have any historical evidence to go off of for this year specifically. But for this play, strictly a value play. All the other books have this total listed below this number. So we're getting a good price at the 166.5. Our third play for this slate, we are taking the Liberty -15, -110 odds at DraftKings. So this is the case where the Liberty at home are playing the worst team in the WNBA in the Seattle Storm. It had been the Mercury for a while. Now it's the Storm that have taken over the mantle as the worst team, according to net rating, looking at the advanced stats in the WNBA. This is also somewhat of a reverse trends type of bet, where for those of you that have been following me along with the WNBA playoffs, it was one of my favorite betting strategies, was literally reverse trends. Basically, whatever happened recently, bet the opposite of that, because generally in sports, these things even out over time, and you can really get some value betting on the opposite of, again, what just happened. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because these two teams just played on July 8th, and it was a home game for the Liberty, so same exact thing we have for this one, and the Storm kept that game close and lost by only 4 points. So why is the spread all the way up at 15? Probably because it's still likely that the Liberty blow them out, and just because the Storm kept it close last time doesn't mean it's going to happen again. And most books have the Liberty above this number, above the -15. So again, we're getting some value here. For every play, we're getting value, but for this one specifically as well. And again, one of my favorite betting strategies, which we'll talk about in further detail, is a reverse trends bet, which is what is being satisfied for this one. as well as the next one we're taking in the same game, the Storm versus Liberty to go over 166.5 minus 110 odds at Fox Bet. So this is another example of a reverse trends bet. These two teams have played 3 times this year, and every single game has gone below this number. Obviously, that includes the game in which they played just this past July, or excuse me, most recently in this July, where the score was the Storm scored 76 and the Liberty scored 80. So pretty much it's similar logic to why I like the Liberty. Again, we're betting against what recently happened. And, you know, the Liberty scoring 80 against the Storm at home is kind of crazy because, A, the Liberty averaged just under 90 points at home. And as a road team, the Storm give up over 90 points per game. So the fact that they were able to hold the Liberty to 80 points is not something that I foresee happening again. I wouldn't be shocked if the Liberty got close to 100 points in this game. If that happens, all we need is the Storm to get to like 70, and we are cashing both of these plays, hopefully going 2-0 in this game specifically, and obviously 5-0 overall, which leads me to my last play of the evening, Sun versus Wings over 167, minus 110 odds at DraftKings. Last play of the evening, going with another over, another play where we are taking a reverse trends bet. These two teams played back in June, and only 154 points were scored in that game. So if you're sensing a theme, that there's a reason why. I love a reverse trends bet. I think generally the average sports bettor just thinks that whatever has happened recently is going to happen again, which means that you can get some value taking, again, the opposite of that. And it's not just the WNBA, it's football. Like if two teams in the division play within 3 weeks of each other, literally just bet the opposite of what happened recently and you'll probably make money. But for this one specifically, I do like the over in this one. It's another strictly value play where all the other books have it priced above this number. The Wings specifically average the 3rd most points in the WNBA at 86, while the Sun are averaging the 5th best, just under 84. And the risk here, why this number is as low as it is because the Sun do have a pretty good defense, 2nd best in the WNBA, and giving up the 2nd fewest points allowed as well. But I give the matchup specifically with the Wings on offense to the Wings. They're at home, and they've been on fire recently in the month of June. They're averaging just over 90 points per game in the month of July, so they're on fire. The Sun have still been good, but I do give the advantage to the Wings in this one. And all we need are points to be scored. I'm not picking a side. And that's all I got. 5 picks for you guys to lock in, 5 WNBA bangers. Let's go 5-0. If you're tailing, remember to comment, let me know, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.